Mindset, a daily dose of practical wit and wisdom with a professional educator and trainer, Amazon best-selling author, United States Marine, television and radio host, Paul G. Markle. Each episode will focus on positive and productive ways to strengthen your mindset and help you improve your relationships, career goals, and overall well-being. Please welcome your host, Paul G. Markle.
Hello. Welcome back to Morning Mindset. Let's strap in, strap on. Let's get ready to do this. All right. I hope you have a hot, tasty beverage to sip. Or if you're driving your car, just put your hands at 10 and 2 and look at the road and listen. If you're on the treadmill, that's cool too. Give me another 5 minutes. All right? Or 10 minutes. How's that sound? Give me another 10 minutes. Let's take a look at the you can't crowd. The you can't crowd. Right before I sat down to record this, before I entered the studio, closed the door, and turned on the black carbon steel microphones, I was reading an article online. I came across this article because someone suggested it to me. I saw the title and thought, yeah, that'd be a good thing. I started reading it, and it was full of good news. Basically, it was how it was talking about tourniquets, and I don't want to get too far into that, but it was a very positive article. Let's just say it was a positive article. And like most online articles, and we do this because of SEO and because of systems sharing and you know all that mumbo jumbo to get people to look at stuff. I know why it is that people allow comments at the end of their articles online. I understand that. Whether I agree with it or not, I understand it. So in my perspective, from my perspective, and I think most people's perspective, it was a very positive article, right? It wasn't, you can't, you shouldn't, this is bad, this is wrong, whatever. It was actually, this is what we're doing, and this is good, and it's saving people's lives. People's lives are being saved because of this, right? Very first comment in the comments is negative Nelly, negative, I don't know what, Norman, I guess an N-word, negative Nancy, negative Norman. So negative Norman jumps in and writes a whole paragraph about how you people don't understand and blah, blah, blah. And you can't and you shouldn't and you're going to get sued and then da. Basically, this is why you shouldn't do what's right, regardless of the facts. And the article I was reading, it was in a medical journal, and it was about a study that was conducted and so on and so forth. So regardless of the facts, regardless of the demonstrated facts in the article from the research study, the first thing this person had to say was, you shouldn't or you can't. There you go. And it made me think. All right, first of all, that kind of nonsense infuriates me because we aren't talking about how to get red wine stains out of a dress shirt. We're not talking about the best barbecue recipe. We're not talking about something simple where bad advice won't hurt anybody. If somebody gives you bad advice on barbecue sauce, maybe, your meal won't taste that great or whatever, but no one's going to die. If somebody gives you bad advice on how to get red wine stains out of a dress shirt or out of your carpeting or whatever, and it turns out not to work, well, nobody died, right? No one's going to get hurt. There's not going to be any lasting physical effect. But when it comes to things like this, in this nature, use of tourniquets and traumatic medical care and so forth, bad advice can cause people to die, to lose their lives. And that it really infuriates me when people, the you can't crowd, sticks up their lazy, ugly heads and gives bad advice that bad advice, like I said, the bad advice is not like, red wine stains or cooking recipes or whatever. Bad advice in this area can cause people to die. How often do you allow the you can't crowd to affect your decision making? How many times have you wanted or thought about doing something new, doing something adventurous, doing something different, doing something branching out or what have you, and the you can't crowd, and the you can't crowd could be one person or it could be multiple people or what have you, shows up to tell you all the reasons why you can't. Now, there is a real difference in practical reality and intellectual laziness. For instance, I am over 50 years old right now. I will admit that to you freely. And if I decided tomorrow morning, you know what? When I was growing up, I used to drink Tang, and I used to watch movies about, outer space exploration and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive to the NASA headquarters, and I'm going to tell them that I want to be an astronaut, and I'm motivated and I'm going to do it, and no one can tell me I can't. Is that really a practical reality? You're like, probably not. Probably not. Let's say I started jogging, and I feel like I'm pretty good at jogging. I can, go a mile or 2 miles or several miles or whatever, and, I can do it. So I get in my car and I drive down to Colorado, and I go to the U.S. Olympic Training Center, and I say, hey, I'm going to try out for the Olympic long-distance runner team or the Olympic track team. And they're like, I'm glad that you're the best runner on your block, but you're probably not going to make the Olympic team. That is a practical reality that's probably not going to happen. But more often than not, how often when someone tells you you shouldn't do that, or you can't do that, or don't even try, that's what drives me insane is regardless of facts, of evidence, studies, new information, so forth. Regardless of all of that, you shouldn't even try. Don't even try. You can't. You shouldn't. And here's why you shouldn't. Like I said, I'm not talking about being, 50 years old and trying to make the U.S. Olympic track team. I'm talking about people that are so intellectually lazy. And where does the you can't crowd come from? And why does the you can't crowd even care? Seriously. So the people that tell you shouldn't and you can't, how does your attempt to do something, to improve yourself, to change, to venture out, to whatever, how does it actually affect them? Seriously, how does it affect them? Why do they tell you that you can't? You're like, well, whether I try and succeed or whether I try and fail, it doesn't affect you really at all. So where is this opinion coming from? I'll tell you, a little bit of it is psychological. It goes back to the C student, right? The person who does just enough to get by so that they can get a C. C's obviously not failing, and they're not failing, but it's not the best grade. It's not a good grade. It's not really something that you would brag about, right? But it's just enough. Often the C students of our world, they don't like it when B and A students show up because it exposes them as lazy. It exposes them as those who do just enough to get by. A lot of these you can't, you shouldn't people, they're not even C students. Most of them are D students. They're passing. They got a D. A D's passing, right? You don't have to repeat that grade if you get a D. I mean, it's not great, but you don't have to repeat it. So here these ambitious A and B students show up and they're like, I want to do this. It's really kind of sick and twisted if you think about it. But yet, how often do you allow yourself to be influenced by the you can't crowd? How often have you allowed yourself to be influenced by the you can't crowd because you read something, you read a comment on an article, or you saw a YouTube video or whatever, and you were all excited to go take a training class or to do something new or something different or venture out, and then you saw the you can't video or the you can't article or the you can't comment, and then you decided not to. There is a real difference between practical reality and intellectual laziness. And by far, when you encounter the you can't or you shouldn't crowd, It's not because it's a practical, it's not a practical reality or it's impractical. Most of the time it's because the you can't people are intellectually lazy. And I'm not going to have any of it. And you shouldn't either. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Paul Markle, and I will talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for spending time with us today. To get show notes, submit a topic request, and for more from your host, Paul G. Markle, visit morningmindsetpodcast.com. That's morningmindsetpodcast.com. Please leave a review for this podcast on your favorite podcast player. We appreciate your time and effort, and we look forward to reading your honest feedback.